Everybody, it's David. Welcome to the final week. Did I say it? Final week of your first course in the master's program. Well, I just wanted to let you know I am thrilled to have been the first person that you came across in this program, and I trust that you have had an enjoyable, challenging approach, introduction, if you will, to graduate studies and certainly to critical thinking and problem solving. I'm coming to you today from the top deck of our place here in Dallas. I'm home for the next 6 days, and then you would not believe I head out on a 6 week. I'll be back. Gosh, it's almost more. It's more than that. It's 8 weeks. I'll be back December the 6th, and so I'll be traveling around the world a couple of times. Um, and so I'm here for a week, so I'm able to get some things ready, and then I'm going to live out of a suitcase for a while. So again, I've really enjoyed the last few weeks, and I hope you have too. So let's talk about lesson 6, and then we'll jump into lesson 7 for the final video that you'll see from me. Oh, by the way, I think I told some of you all, because I normally do this. I normally teach the next course as well, MSOM 602. But the university had a need for me to teach an undergraduate marketing class next term, and they didn't have anyone to teach it, so I'm going to teach that. And I think Dr. Sinclair is going to teach servant leadership. So if you have a concentration that you're going to be taking in this degree program, this is the last time you'll see me on a video. Because I teach the final course if you do not take a concentration, which is MSOM 612. So if you don't take a concentration, I'll see you again probably in a couple years, a year and a half. So again, best wishes to you. So let's talk about lesson 6. I'm rambling today. I don't know why. Discussion 1, we talked about SMEs, subject matter experts, when to use them, when not to use them. And of course, this is kind of like apple pie. We talk about SMEs, and everyone waves a flag and says, "Yeah, let's use SMEs." But hopefully, the video this week, I think her name's Hertz. I'm trying to remember. I think it's Norma Hertz. Talk to you when not to use SMEs. And one of the key things I think is to determine who determines whether they're an SME or not. Are they a self-prescribed SME? So they come up to you and says, "I'm a subject matter expert in this." Well, sometimes you may or may not be, based upon how good you feel about yourself, right? And so the key challenge here is to make sure that you do your vetting process properly on whether they're an SME or not, and also to understand that if you're an SME in one thing, it doesn't make you an SME in all things. And so sometimes those are transferable, sometimes they're not, many times they're not. And so enjoy the discussions, at least the early looks on those for this week. Discussion 2 talked about systems thinking and about drawing how you make toast. And this is always one of my favorite ones because, up until this point, we're talking about your own personal thinking styles. We're talking about a team approach to solving problems. But this video exercise actually gave you something perhaps you can use in your team from a team building perspective that really emphasizes the variety of thinking that can help. Not only the variety of thinking, but how visual people are today. I was talking with my wife today. We're doing some work for a bed and breakfast association for the state of Washington, and we're talking about how to make blogs and other things much more visible to the traveling public. And we're talking about the visual nature of people today and how images and branding and all those things are equally and incredibly important today. So this actually, every time I do these lessons, I always think about personal applications and some of the things that I'm doing in either the consulting business or my wife is doing in the consulting business. So this was helpful for us this week as well. And then application 1 talked about subject matter experts and Amina's story. And again, this is, you may have duplicated some of the things that you talked about when we talked about the critical thinking styles early on in the first part of the lesson. That's okay for Amina's story because critical thinking leads to expertise in certain areas. And so certainly the subject matter experts that are evident in Amina's story started off because of their critical thinking styles that they had. And so be interested to see your comments on that. All right. Lesson 7, the final week. Can I get an amen out of that? So the lesson 7, by the way, 7 weeks seems to fly for me. Now, it may not for you, but I'm always hearing like lesson 7, I'm thinking, man, I just got to know these people. So anyway, lesson 7 starts off with a discussion, talks about personal worldview. And a worldview is a big topic today in Christian circles. It's a big topic also in research circles, which is why as many PhD and DBA candidates approach their doctoral studies and their dissertations and things. That's why I gave you the Cresswell information, because that gives you some information that you'll see from a research perspective. So your own personal worldview could impact your research approach, because again, it's the lens through which you're going to look at things. All of us have a personal worldview, whether we think we do or not, and it will influence our thinking. And so one of the key things is just to recognize what that is. I always encourage people to challenge your worldview, to look at those things, because if you blindly accept things that you hear, again, we'll get back to the fact or opinion flag on that one, right? And so I just encourage you to look at that. A lot of you will use a bunch of different sources on this. A lot of you will use the Truth Project probably on this, because it's one of the primary things that in the Christian circles that worldview is talked about. I've actually had the privilege of hearing Nancy Pearcey over a period of time. She's one of the foremost Christian authorities, if you will, or SMEs on worldview. Okay, so just be really interested in hearing your thoughts and comments on that. Application 1 is a personal review. Okay, so hear me on this one. You can write in first person on this one. All right, so what I'm asking you to do is just to take a look over the last few weeks and see what type of impact some of our topics has made on you. Hopefully there have been some things that have helped, not only from a theory perspective, but from a practical perspective. Perhaps you are approaching problems differently. Perhaps you now have methodologies in your toolbox to be able to use on your teams and in your families and at churches and on committees and different things like that. So this is always one of the fun ones I like to read, because it really shows, hopefully, that the class has been more than just a grade for you, that you've been able to take some things and change some of your approaches, or reinforce some of the approaches that you take to problem solving and critical thinking. And then the second application this week talks about organizational impacts. Make sure you hit this one on organizational impacts. I know the question has a lot of different things on it, but one of the most important things for you to understand, the decisions that you make to solve a problem not only impact the people directly who are impacted by it, but it impacts people downstream, okay? So you think about Amina's story, you think about the decision that they made to save this girl's life. Well, I bet there were hundreds of Aminas in Iraq. So if they help the one girl, does that require them to help the 100? Big decision, big organizational impact. So make sure that you understand that. And also, in the world today of tweets and Facebook posts that perhaps could be intended for one person. So maybe you make a tweet or you have a Facebook post that you intend to make for one person. All of a sudden, if it goes viral, it can reach millions, okay? So that one tweet that you just intended to send out to somebody else may have struck a nerve with a group of people, and now it gets forwarded, it gets shared, and before too long, you're viral, right? And so who knows when that can happen? And so understand that the things that you do, the things that you say, the problems that you create, the methodologies that you use to solve those problems have organizational impacts. It may be a personal organization, it may be your own company organization, and so on and so on. Okay? Well, as I said earlier, I have thoroughly enjoyed the last few weeks together. For those of you who I will see again in MSOM 612, I look forward to doing that. For those of you who this is our last stop here, I just want to wish you well on your educational journey. But for all of you I always make this offer to students because you've been able to sit through 7 weeks with me. Um, Please feel free to send me an email, call me on the phone if there's ever anything you think I can help you with. Um, and this is one of the biggest joys I have in teaching. I've been able to help students start small businesses. I've given, gosh, it seems like 100 or so job referrals, those types of things, and I thoroughly enjoy doing that. And plus, you all know where my web page, my YouTube page is. I am leaving in 6 days. I'm going to Taiwan, and then I'm going to Amsterdam from there, Dubai, Doha, Qatar. Then I go back to Seattle for a couple of weeks. Then I go to Singapore, Bangkok, Vietnam, and then India. I get to finally see the Taj Mahal. I'm actually following my daughter around. She's a recruiter for the School of Engineering for SMU here in Dallas. And so she asked me if I wanted to travel for 2 months with her. And I said, absolutely. So I'm leaving October the 6th, and I'll be back in Dallas on December the 6th. So 2 months out of a suitcase. But I really look forward to it. So my message is, if you want to see some of those videos just to see where I am, please look at my YouTube page, and you'll be able to see that. All right? Well, I hope you all have I think you get a week break between now and the next class. So enjoy that. I will have all of your work graded as quickly as I do, normally by the first or second day after it's due. And so make sure you look in the grade book on that. If you have any questions about what I'm looking for in Lesson 7, make sure you send me an email. All right? You all have a great week here, a great rest of your educational process, and contact me if you ever need to chat. All right? Take care. God bless.